The epic climax of this movie was actually mentioned as far back as the 1983 novelization of Return of the Jedi, so George Lucas had plenty of time to perfect this one's story. Originally, it was focused more on the Clone Wars, but Lucas retweets the script to focus more time on Anakin's turn to the dark side, an issue that many fans still have to this day, claiming it was still sudden and rushed. The film shows Obi-Wan and Anakin rescuing Palpatine from General Grievous, a character who would be developed upon more in the TV series, but here he's a big nobody who barely does anything but was still meant to give a shit when he dies.
I agree, bad idea.
The fight is pretty cool though. Before, what a shock, Palpatine is evil and manages to turn Anakin to the dark side, much to the dismay of his friends and wife. But unlike the mixed to negative reception of the previous two movies, Revenge of the Sith is often regarded as the good one, and the one that Lucas finally got right. Though it still had that trademark George Lucas dialogue disease scattered around it, and some poor acting. Though some still claim that it's as good as the original trilogy.
Now, that's better.
Despite being just as long as the previous two films, this originally had even more crammed in it. Lucas wanted a 10-year-old Han Solo to appear. He wanted Palpatine to reveal that he actually created Anakin, technically then making him his father, which in turn makes Rey and Kylo related, but hey, we'll get to that. And Qui-Gon was even going to appear, again played by Liam Neeson, as a ghost to talk to Yoda. And Anakin's motivations to turn to the dark side were even more developed. Initially, he was worried that the Jedi were going to take over the Republic, but this was all scrapped. Instead, in the movie, Palpatine explains that the ways of the Sith leads to a possibility to save those from death. During the movie, Anakin finds out that Padme is carrying his child, and he has a premonition of her dying in childbirth. After predicting his mother's death earlier in the trilogy, he naturally turns evil to save his wife from dying. As far as his turn goes, it is hit and miss. The movie does have more character development in the first 15 minutes than the entirety of Attack of the Clones. Palpatine tells Anakin to leave Obi-Wan behind, but despite being on the turn, he still remains loyal to his friend and insists on saving him. He's clearly still on the fence. But then we go back to the love story and the movie almost immediately gets less good with the continuously declining dialogue that was written by a 12-year-old virgin.
Feels like we've been apart for a lifetime. You're so beautiful.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No, no, it's because I'm so in love with you.
Hold me. Like you did by the lake on Naboo.
They literally sleep together in an unprotected window. How has nobody walked past or seen Padme with him and realised they're together?
Anakin is the father, isn't he?
What? In fact, their very first scene together, they run up and embrace one another in broad daylight in public. Are they even trying to hide it? Oh, but remember when Padme didn't even react to the fact that Anakin slaughtered an entire race?
You die in childbirth.
And the baby?
Look, I get prioritising your baby, but I just told you you're going to die! There's not even a pause! There's no shock, no surprise, no fear that you're gonna die, just, oh, alright, what about the kid?
I'm overwhelmed, sir.
Yeah, fucking sounds it! We get more talking from the council, but it's nowhere near as much as the last film. But despite literally being the third movie and being on his decline to insanity as a Dark Lord, Anakin still acts like a whiny 10-year-old kid and not like a vengeful psychopath.
It's unfair. I'm not the Jedi I should be. I want more.
I love you!
Liar!
But I guess Hayden got fed up because about halfway through he just stops trying and his acting is shit. We barely see any of his heroic or brave moments. All the audience is subjected to is him being a whiny pussy for 2 films. It's impressive that this movie does manage to still get us invested in his turn despite it being rushed and out of nowhere. But I'll let him off because this looks badass as hell. But I won't let them off because this looks fake as hell. They also try to pass off Palpatine and Anakin as being close now, but they've had like, what, a couple of scenes together at most? There's been no indication beforehand that they are this close unit. Ultimately, it takes one scene for Palpatine to manipulate Anakin to turn evil. I actually love this scene. He gives him this amazing speech about needing the Sith to cheat death, and Ian McDiarmid is amazing, especially with his constant turning to the camera in dramatic fashion. Hayden does a great job as he's reluctant to reveal the Jedi's plans. Palpatine is a great villain, and Anakin is clearly conflicted here. It's a tremendous scene. Although, why does Anakin never question how Palpatine knows all about the evil dark side and the Sith? I mean, hell, 20 minutes later he says,
You're the Sith Lord.
well, I am shocked. I mean, this is a nice touch as Obi-Wan is in the light and Anakin is the dark, but Here's the issue with Anakin's turn. It is absolutely out of nowhere. In the last film, he murdered because of his mother's passing, but then he was the exact same person. He had a cry and then he was back to normal. Hell, this one starts with him still being the same person and saving Obi-Wan at the beginning. Then this speech happens and I mean, I get it. He only really turns to the dark side to save the life of his pregnant wife, but there's still a huge leap from saving your loved one and murdering children. Yeah, he brutally murders children. What, to save his wife? It's completely out of nowhere. In fact, why or how does he even end up in Jedi heaven? Are we forgetting the innocent children that he massacred? They can't have sent him to the place of no return at that point. In fact, surely he should then murder Palpatine when Padme dies in childbirth because he didn't follow up on his end of the bargain. I mean, he does come up with a bogus lie.
In your anger, you killed her.
But why would he believe that? He doesn't need to be manipulated anymore. Surely he would just kill him in an act of rage. Credit to them for having the balls to show the corpses of the kids, though. Jesus. I mean, before he even kills the kids, he does rush off and tell the Jedi that Palpatine is evil, so he has some loyalty, but at this point, that's the only sense of conflict we really see.
Anakin has turned to the dark side.
You're wrong. How could you even say that?
He literally admitted to slaughtering an entire race in the last movie. You didn't care then. Why do you care now? Padme also has very little to do in this one. She's just the wife who's just kind of there. The thing is, the lack of chemistry between Hayden and Portman actually works in this because the marriage is breaking down. But in the last one, it was supposed to be flourishing, but it was just awkward and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's a shame because Natalie Portman is really trying.
Obi-Wan and the Council don't trust me.
I wonder why! The build-up to Anakin and Obi-Wan finally fighting is incredible, though. It's such an amazing moment.
You will not take it from me!
Except that. But my god, this has the greatest saber duel in the entire franchise. Fight me! It's intercut with Yoda and Palpatine, which looks as good as it can with a CGI booger. But again, we know neither of them die. Alright, the lava does look pretty bad, but the fight itself is absolutely incredible. They fight up a tower and everything. Alright, that shot looked awful. It can't all be perfect. Just like this line.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
I mean, let's ignore the fact that Darth Maul had the high ground and lost. Let's ignore the fact that Anakin could just walk up the slope and they'd be on even ground. This huge line in this epic climax is saying that Obi-Wan literally only wins because he's standing on a fucking slope. He's initially saying, "Can't reach me, nah, 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 nah." Oh, and George Lucas's inability to write anything but the characters literally saying their emotions and motivations continues.
I feel lost. Well, that can only mean less deliberating and more action. I've just been so frustrated with the Council.
Are you going to kill me?
I would certainly like to.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
I won't lose you the way I lost my mother.
Don't kill me.
I'm afraid.
I can't watch anymore. Love won't save you, Padme. Only my new powers can do that.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
You're breaking my heart.
Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil! From my point of view, the Jedi are evil!
I hate you!
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
That's an absolute. Only the Sith. Never mind. He even has a random close-up of Obi-Wan's eyes as he kills Grievous for a one-liner for no reason whatsoever except for you to notice his directing. But to his credit, there's a beautifully done moment. It's the calm before the storm. No dialogue, just atmospheric music as they look out the window before this all goes down. It's tremendous. I mean, the sets are actual sets and look more real, so there's a vast improvement, as are the special effects. Okay, the green screens are still not great, but they're better than they were. Okay, these look fake as hell too, but that's it. The opening rescue scene has a lot more fun than its predecessor, although this rescue alone was originally an hour long itself. Jesus Christ, George. Obi-Wan and Anakin still have great chemistry, and Hayden Christensen's acting has improved a lot since the last movie. The two do come across as good friends, and the bickering and banter is pretty funny. The saber duel between Obi-Wan and Count Dooku is a lot of fun, although they claim they've not met since the last movie, so I guess these writers just have never seen the show before.
General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected.
Although fair play, because of this one scene in Clone Wars, they had to make sure that Anakin and Grievous never actually meet, so this one line wouldn't be contradicted. But the powers of the Force in this trilogy are really inconsistent. Surely they could just use it to stop this lift from crushing them, right? I mean, they use it here, so what's the problem?
Something wonderful has happened.
George Lucas sold the rights to the movies.
Careful you must be when sensing the future, Anakin. The fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
According to you, everything's a path to the dark side. Pineapple on pizza? Oh, yes. Dark side you go. Much like Padme, Mace Windu doesn't do much for the first half either. Samuel L. Jackson is completely wasted in these movies.
And our worst fears have been realized.
I thought Jedi weren't allowed to show fear! Alright, Mace fighting Palpatine is pretty cool, but why did he have to yell? It's still the same issue though. We know Palpatine doesn't die, so there's not a lot of suspense, especially as he turns into Nicolas Cage.
No. No. No.
The makeup does look great as he starts to get deformed, but he manipulates Anakin to help and Windu goes out the window. Ha ha ha. Like the last movie, the battle scene looks incredible. I do think this film has learned from their mistakes. It is such a huge upgrade. Except for Yoda. Yep, he's definitely there for real. I love how none of the other politicians are like, hey, I think Palpatine is acting quite a bit like Hitler. Then again, I'm surprised they've not sent him to go and protect a queen somewhere. The issue is, as explained, this is supposed to take place before the original trilogy. Telling us what happened first should be easy, but they mess up so much. Luke is given Anakin's lightsaber and he's told his father wanted him to have it when he's old enough.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
When the hell did he have time to do that? During his burning death? Leia clearly says that she remembers her mother.
She was very beautiful, kind, but sad.
But she died during childbirth. Originally, this was going to be explained. The initial plan was to have Padme actually survive and then go into hiding with both babies, explaining how they would remember her. Lucas, however, in his infinite wisdom, decided against this as it would have meant Padme would die off screen between trilogies, which he really didn't want to do. Not sure why, I'm sure he would have come up with an episode 3.5 at some point to kill her off. C-3PO's memory gets wiped to explain why he doesn't remember who Anakin or Obi-Wan are, but R2's isn't. Why doesn't he inform C-3PO in the original, who would then go and tell the others? How come Obi-Wan and Luke and Leia's aunt and uncle aged 600 years in just 20? And how come Obi-Wan doesn't remember Leia? And why do they allow dialogue as bad as this?
Medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we are losing her.
So she's not healthy then! They also discover she's carrying twins, but what, nobody sensed this? In fact, they can sense fear and death and what's going on in people's minds, but they never sensed their secret relationship this whole time? It is a nice sequence though, as the twins are born at the same time as Darth Vader. It's truly an epic moment.
There's good in him.
Just wait until he slaughters hundreds of more people and then you'll find it and all will be forgiven. But man, the first appearance of Darth Vader is incredible.
Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she alright?
Well, medically she's fine. Oh, well that's alright then. But she's dying.
I guess it could have been worse. Knowing George Lucas, it could have been.
I'm sad.
And of course, the natural thing to do after the babies just lost both their parents is to completely split them up. But one in wealth and one in dangerous poverty, and not even change his last name for his protection. Honestly, this movie is incredible. Yeah, it has some of the same issues as its predecessors with clunky dialogue and a bad romance, but it's few and far between this time. The origin of Vader here is handled well, but it is still rushed and could have been fleshed out more in the second film. Other than that, the action, the characters, it's all great. I'd say watch The Phantom Menace, skip Attack of the Clones straight to this one, and you'll have a great time.